What's up, all you addicts? Welcome to the Addicted Fishing Podcast, and we don't say episode numbers anymore, so if you want that data, you can just look in the description.
Just keep watching.
Thanks so much for tuning in again. If you're on YouTube, thank you so much. We're getting our set a little bit more developed, so let us know how you guys like it. We are going to keep adding and keep switching things up until we get it perfect exactly how we want it, so let us know. Comment below, let us know. Obviously, the way we had it last week was not kosher at all. Was not kosher at all.
And
so.
geez, I think a few of us kind of realized that.
Yeah.
Before we even started.
Yeah. Pretty much right as we sat down.
Yeah, right.
Jeez. Hey, Jordan was lucky. Jordan didn't have to be a part of that.
For those of you guys that are not watching on YouTube, you don't know what you're talking about, and we're just going to leave it at that.
No, you need to come over to YouTube, and you need to tap that subscribe button, because we've been putting videos out almost every single day. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're probably wondering who in the heck is to the right of Cameron.
The gentleman that I have sitting to the right of me today, he has actually been guiding since 1978. He's the founder and on the board of directors of the North Coast Salmon and Steelhead Enhancement Fund. And for those of you guys who don't know, they produce the Salmon Rendezvous, which is a big event down in the Tillamook area streams. And yeah, we're just going to forewarn you guys, there will be river names in this. So yeah, I said Tillamook, but it's going to get worse. He's also a charter member of the Oregon chapter of CCA and serves actually as their president for the state. Recreational fishing representative to the Oregon Hatchery Research Center, the OHRC. Wilson River broodstock since inception, since 1996. So you've been playing this broodstock game for a while, and he's helped with the implementation of the broodstock programs on the Stucca, the Silettes, I'm missing one.
North Fork of the Nehalem.
North Fork of the Nehalem. Mr. Jack Smith. So why don't you introduce yourself? I already did it for you.
You left me nothing to say.
Sorry, bud. I want to give some credit where it was due. This gentleman's been fighting, like I said, the good fight for 40 years.
I appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk about these important programs, because I think it's something that could help our fish and fisheries everywhere.
Right. We just got done doing one of our live feed sessions here, and we had the...
those are on YouTube now, so you can go watch them.
Yeah. So we had the godfather of broodstock programs in, and so we just kind of wanted to do a runabout for those of you guys that maybe haven't checked it out. We had another... did we do a podcast with Mr.?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
With Mr. Dave Champ on Hatchery Wild. So this is the Hatchery and Wild Coexist Part 2. And for those of you guys that are just tuning in, Hatchery Wild Coexist program and campaign is basically to...
let's have him
What did you say? Yeah, let's have him tell us.
Hatchery Wild Coexist.
Hatchery Wild Coexist, it just is kind of a group that got together based on the fact that hatchery and wild fish can coexist. They have for hundreds of years. And it just seems like lately the whole narrative has been, we got to get rid of hatchery fish to save wild fish. And we wanted to change that narrative. As you guys have all seen, there's quite a bit of new science that's coming out that kind of depicts hatchery fish as not being as bad as we've been led to believe. So without hatchery fish, we'll have no fisheries.
Right. This new science alongside a massive decline in our fisheries in 2-3 years.
It seems like everybody's excited about it, so it's a perfect time to get the conversation going.
And basically how this starts, guys and all the guys and gals out there listening, is just educate yourself. That's the first step to all this, is myself included, and I think a lot of you anglers that are out there listening that have been a part of Addicted, is just get involved in every way, shape, or form that you can with Hatchery and Wild, and go on their website, extensively look at the research, look at the papers that they have put out, and just read the research, start to educate yourself, and wait for something bigger, because there will be a time when we try to rally a lot of people together and really fight for what we believe in. Right, Cam?
Yeah, I mean, that time is now. Like, we're rallying people under this HW&C campaign. There's a website up, www.hatchery-wild. Dang it, I said it wrong. www.hatchery-wild-coexist.com. There's a Facebook page as well. We need
Mr. Don New, you need to please get a new domain name.
Yeah, see, I screwed it up, and son of a gun, I should know better. But we'll work on the domain name. But right now, you guys can go there, and you'll be able to go there forever because we own that domain name. But anyways, head there, get yourself educated. There's a lot of good information there, and there's also some email subscription lists that you can assign to. there's a lot there, and for what's kind of going on this week, and I didn't know how I wanted to put this into context as far as with this podcast, but there's a lot kind of going on out in the interwebs and the social media web with this introduction of a certain movie by a certain company, and I think we want to just delve right into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, there's a lot of ignorance and a lot of falsities out there right now, and the one thing we kind of didn't cover in the live feed is it's so shocking, and it just shows the state of affairs in the United States right now of how there could be such a large group of passionate anglers and sportsmen and outdoorsmen that are being told they're wrong, that only want good things. Yet we have this entity coming in from the side telling us that we're trying to kill off what we love, with science backing our side of the case. I think it's something that it's obviously very political, but it's very important as sportsmen and as the younger generation coming up behind gentlemen like Jack to really take a stronghold and grab that passion by the balls and run with it.
And I can tell you one thing right out the gate, just based off the interactions that I've seen and the things that I've seen this company do, I will not be supporting them, period, whatsoever.
Never.
Ever. And I would hope that every sportsman out there would get behind that exact same mission.
I wrote their name on the bottom of my piss jug in the boat.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So, Jack, tell us a little bit, Marlon kind of started into it. What is the goal behind what Hatchery Wild coexists? You mentioned changing the narrative, but what are we rallying these people for? What's the outlook? What do we want to happen here, other than changing?
Well, basically just become a cohesive force, so that when there's misinformation or when there's updated information, what we've done so far is we hire like an independent scientist and say, hey, this doesn't, what we're seeing on the river every day, this science doesn't reflect what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Can you look into that?
Right.
And
it costs money to do that.
Do the same thing that these groups have done to us.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And only we're doing it in a truthful manner, because
right.
if you go and listen to their points, a lot of times they're ridiculously exaggerated.
I mean, and a perfect example of that is if you watch the trailer to this movie, the misrepresentation that they try to give off.
First 30 seconds, what made me want to smash my phone? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! I'm like, they really are going to try to do this.
And the problem with it is you have a lot of people that aren't sportsmen that are going to watch that, and they're going to fall right into it. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, this isn't exactly.
Well, that's why it's really important that we get our word out.
Exactly.
Because they especially if we do it in a professional manner and or put forward in a good way, they'll listen to us too. And up to now, they've only been hearing the other side. I mean, we've been pretty silent, actually.
Yeah.
And that's got to change.
And that's where Hatchery and Wild Coexist comes in. Everyone out there listening is join this movement. Let's rally 50, 100, 300,000 people. There's a lot of sportsmen in Washington, Oregon, and this doesn't even just Washington and Oregon. I mean, if you're in Idaho, if you even come to these places to fish, you should be behind this, because it's in everyone's best interest to have healthy and abundant fisheries, and not just in the human's best interest, in nature's best interest, because at the end of the day, that is how it was meant to be, and we have destroyed it. We have destroyed it to a place where it can't go back. And so it's our responsibility as humans to come in and produce hatchery fish in a way that it's done right, Cam? Because most people out there, up to this point, we have been doing it wrong, right? There's been a lot of things that were done wrong up to this point. But the problem is now these people are pushing and saying that it's still being done wrong when that's not the case. There's a lot of scenarios where it's being done right.
That's a very true statement. And I think it's short-sighted. I know when we first started the Bruce Up program on the Wilson, one of the things that I thought was cool was I noticed, like, when I have customers in my boat, if you get a wild fish and they say, yeah, it's a beautiful wild fish, turn it loose, and these are people that don't necessarily fish all the time, and it was like it was gone. They were kind of disappointed, and it didn't mean anything to them. When we have a live well in our boat, so when we catch a wild fish that we want to collect, we collect it, put it in this broodstock program or the live box, and then I get the rest of the day, I'm talking to these people about what a wonderful creature that was, how having good hatchery programs depends on wild fish. You got to have habitat to have wild fish. What you said about it's gone, it's like there are certain portions of habitat that are gone that we are irreplaceable. I mean, we won't be able to replace them, but there are places where we should do the best we can. But it's just the kind of the realization of people exactly who you're talking about who don't have an idea what wild fish are. They get a real good sense of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And and you get a chance to tell them we need habitat, we need hatchery fish, or we're not going to fish. This all is a big circle.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing it kind of gave me a sour taste in my mouth from the opposition's, statement in their movie was, I noticed as they were doing these press releases, one of the first places they were releasing this movie was in Switzerland. Their premiere was in Switzerland. What the hell does any of this have to do with people in Switzerland? So it shows you that they're grabbing money. They're grabbing money from the most wealthy places in the world to try to control. They're getting investments from people. That kind of goes back to this, what I said earlier.
Here's the thing, though. We can do that exact same thing. We can play that exact same game. We just have to do it.
Right.
We just have to do it.
And we're behind because we haven't been.
Exactly. And so now it's time. I mean, it's time. Go to Hatchery and Wild. If you guys can't hear the passion in our voices, it's time.
It's definitely time.
This is the thing that I've sat in the front of the seminars for the last 3 years and said, hey, there's going to be one thing I'm going to ask you guys to do, and it's going to go to do this. Go to this. This was launched at the Sportsman Show, and we're just all we're trying to do right now is just get this message out. Get it out there to people, so when Hatchery and Wild shows up in your live feeds, when you hear that in the discussion, there's already been some representation of Hatchery Wild coexist at the State Natural Resources Board in Oregon.
Yeah.
We're already starting to fire on cylinders, but this is a marathon, and this right now is in its infancy. But even with that said, now's the time to join up. Now's the time to get organized. Now is the time, because there is not anything in this Hatchery and Wild campaign that 98.9% of you out there would not agree with.
Well, we're fighting for a natural resource here, and that's the beauty. That's why we show so much love towards great people like Jack and these people that have gone out on a huge limb here, everybody, to stand up for something that none of us have ever really had the balls to do, or had the time, or put the effort in. We've all talked about it. Everybody's talked about this at the tackle shop. Everybody's talked about it at the Sportsman Show. Everybody's talked about it in their garage, drinking a light beer. But we're standing up for our natural resource here and a heritage of fishing that we all do to pass on. It's gone beyond just a hatchery fish here.
And it's sad because it's so misconstrued, because I think, if you really boil it down, and maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but I think a lot of these wild fish groups, they love wild fish. I get it. I love wild fish too. I would love nothing more than to have no hatcheries and no wild fish, or no wild fish, that's what they want. But I'm just saying, I would love nothing more than to have, like I said, no hatcheries, wild fish everywhere, have all that habitat back, but you just have to get set into reality. And the fact that this company is sitting in their freaking downtown Portland office making $600 million a year, and to think that they don't have any effect on the environment that's going on, that's decreasing that these wild runs, and yet the only thing that they want to do is remove hatchery fish, which is obviously the least that they could freaking do, if they're doing anything at all, because they can feel good about it.
Right.
I mean,
they sell more shirts for $60.
They can feel good about it. They can make a film that's trying to piece together aquacultured Atlantic salmon in the Puget Sound to what Jack's been doing for 30 years on the Wilson River, and you have a productive fishery with healthy wild stocks of salmon, and you're going to try to paint that picture where both those things are identical? I'm not going to make you bleep what I was just going to say there, but you know what I mean? So, you can feel good about it, but, then you have the guys, the sportsmen on this side of it, who are seeing what's going on around them. I mean, there's not a sportsman in the Northwest that hasn't lost a productive fishery or, a run of salmon or steel that they used to fish, and they see it going on all around them, and it's like, there's nothing coming up in their place. There's no benefit to it. It's the wrong ideal, and on the ground, it doesn't freaking work.
Well, that's the key word right there, is that this all started out with, we're going to reduce hatchery production. We're going to eliminate hatcheries for some places because we think they're bad for wild fish. They did that. Years and years and years later, no result.
Yeah, so
a complete life cycle.
You got to be means tested. I mean, if you want to do something, check back in, see how it works. If it's not working, do something else.
Well, they did check back in, and they checked back in last December on the Clackamas River when they passed that last study that basically said when did they remove those fish in 2001?
I think it was 1990 something. 91.
So what I'm referring to is a study that was just published in the American Fisheries Society in December, and basically said exactly what we were just talking about. There was a huge, robust hatchery steelhead fishery in the Clackamas River for summer steelhead back in the 90s, and it was in or 80s and 90s. Yeah, I never fished it, but I mean, it was a little bit back in the day now for us younger folk out there. But the other day, it was huge. So it wasn't a matter of if you were catching your limit; it was a matter of when.
Yeah.
And so they, under the guise of this, let's get rid of the hatchery fish, the wild fish will come back, they pulled the program. I mean, they pulled it big time, right? They pulled eliminated. Gone.
Complete cut the throat.
Giant, robust hatchery steelhead program. And unfortunately, after almost 20 years, right?
I think it's close to 25.
25 years later, here we sit. And after a 2-year peer-reviewed study that was published a couple years ago and it came out now, they said we got nothing.
Yeah, the study actually went over more like 40 years. I mean, it was the whole time that they were collecting data at North Fork Dam. It went back through all that data, and so they had data from before they had the hatchery program, while they had the hatchery program, and after they removed it. And what they found out that the steelhead run tracked because of ocean conditions and because of spill at the dam. Those were the contributing factors to where it's up and down movement. But the hatchery fish had nothing to do with it.
Didn't matter if you plugged the river full of hatchery fish that you and I would like to catch, or nothing at all.
Right. And now what we got is nothing.
Nothing. Except for now, we always say we get nothing for it. We always say when we get nothing, but actually we do
got
get something.
and jig fishing.
No, we do get something. We do get something.
Isn't there summers all there now, though?
No.
Below North Fork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole upper river is a wild fish sanctuary.
But that's the other thing I always kind of wonder.
Only for trout.
Oh, but one thing I do wonder is, like, so these wild fish guys, they removed something like that. Where did all the steelheaders go? They all went and caught wild fish, huh?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always kind of wondered that. It's like you eliminate these hatchery programs, and what else is there to catch? Wild fish. I mean, right?
It's true.
That's why everyone's going up north, going forks, going to the gorge. Whatever.
Yeah, steelheader's going to go find steelhead. No matter where he's going to go.
That's right.
A certain amount, but it's like the thing about...
Oh, there's no...
The thing about those, like, Clackamas summer steelhead type fisheries is those are the fisheries where the dad took his kid and caught his first steelhead and that got him hooked. That they were...
so the industry's derived. Yeah.
It was a gateway fishery. And seriously, I mean, you talk to anybody around my age in that that was a young person during that time, and that fishes, that's where they started. I mean, because it was epic.
Yeah.
And the thing about it too is that doesn't just create, like, it creates fisheries. All, like, the Columbia fishery then gets better because of all those runs that are entering the Columbia, going up the Willamette to enter in the Clackamas. Like, it creates good fisheries everywhere, not just in the tribs. Like, it's just...
And we're not just talking Clackamas, everybody. This is just an example. The same implement has happened in
it happened on the East Fork of the Lewis River. Same thing. They got rid of the summer steelhead run.
And I would bet you that I haven't done this, so I'm going out on a limb here. But I would almost bet you if you went to the studies they used and the scientific information they used to justify removing the fish from the East Fork of the Lewis, I'll bet you somewhere in there that Clackamas study was cited as an example of how hatchery fish are bad.
So a false reference of data was used to shut
down
almost
every study that comes up with a negative.
Just like that first hatchery and wild video that you guys made 5 years ago, when you explained that what was the gene bank river that was established in the Olympic Peninsula up near Forks. The entire lawsuit to shut down those ponds was derived off of the Hood River study,
right.
A river above one of the largest dams on the West Coast, on a stream that doesn't really stand a chance. Has had entire runs eliminated, and they use the data from that river to justify actions on a river 250 miles north. It just shows the facets that are missing in all of these lawsuits and all these arguments.
Definitely.
So how do we fix that? How do we get to the legislature? I know a lot of so far, a lot of the success that we've seen in this short time with Hatchery and Wild has been to the extent of being in that legislative position.
Well, and I was thinking about that a little bit ago, and I remember when we started the Wilson River Broodstock program. First thing they told me when the idea was to collect these fish by angler caught fish was, well, we'll give it a shot, but it ain't gonna work because
kind of an eye
here's
roll.
one thing you anglers do: you don't participate. So if we let you angler catch these fish, you're not going to show up. So we won't get the broodstock, but we'll try.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I actually canceled my spring Chinook season because I was hard. For someone to tell me you can't do it was hard for me to swallow.
Yeah.
So I fished every day. And I'd invite people to go. And one of the things I do is I'd invite county commissioners, I'd invite Fish and Wildlife commissioners, and the whole time talk to them about how this is working out and just educate them. So just little things like that,
right?
Helps change the narrative. And then I know we were just recently in a legislative session in Oregon, and the committee chairs were. It was like they were in a desert and you threw them a bucket of water. They were so excited about having the other side because they felt like it doesn't make sense to ruin fisheries. It doesn't make sense to do what you guys are talking about, but they didn't have any ammunition to push back.
Right.
And they were really excited about getting some ammunition.
Yeah.
I heard that committee chair wanted to give you guys 20 minutes while they gave some of the wild fish guys.
In those committee meetings, you get 2 minutes to talk per angler. She came out for they got a diocese, I think it's called.
Uh-huh.
She came out from around the diocese, sat down where you testify, called up our guy, Dave, and they talked for like 20 minutes. So she introduced them to all the people up there and gave them the leg up, and then everybody else got 2 minutes.
Right.
So that's how excited they were to hear it.
Yeah. Well, and then, we mentioned this earlier too. It's like, so many times in the last 15 years or so, 20 years, I'll say, since these fisheries have been getting taken away from the anglers in the Northwest and the prices of licenses have gone up, price of fuel, everything's gone up. So many times have we sat back as anglers, and I guess, a lot of the three of us sitting here haven't necessarily had that chance to really step in as much as we can now. But, how many times have we sat as anglers and let these rationales be placed upon us on how our fisheries work, and we sit in the garage and the tackle shop and go, it's not true. So then we sit back down
on Facebook.
and go sit in our boat again and go fish and talk about it.
If we have a fault, it's that we want to go fishing.
Yeah.
I want to be simple.
I've neglected a lot of responsibility in my life to go fishing.
And you should be able to do that.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if you want things to go the right way, you can't.
You gotta have a voice.
You got to have a voice, be counted as a number. You got to do something.
You got to kick and scream just like these guys.
Because those guys do.
Yeah.
And
that's what scares me about this whole battle. Is I hate being political, but look at even the way politics run right now. One side loses, and they kick and scream and make up until. I really hope that's not how this goes, because I know as soon as these guys lose this fight, they are gonna freak out that they lost. They're gonna hate
and
it
what's
so
funny about
bad.
that is they're the minority.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I don't think there's probably a rational human being in downtown Seattle right now that doesn't want to feed orcas. And these guys go out to a freaking extreme where the 60 million fish that have been basically said by the Orca Task Force, saying that if you do not plant those orcas will continue to starve to death. They put out a little ad and said that they oppose the quote-unquote pollution of 60 million hatchery smolts in the Puget Sound to feed orcas.
It's just slander.
That's how extreme.
It's insane because they say that money should be used for habitat restoration, but it's like,
I agree.
That's fine. We should do that, but that's not going to.
Why don't they take their money and use it for habitat restoration?
Well, and there are
bazillions
of dollars being spent on habitat restoration. They keep making the argument that you're spending on hatcheries instead of that. Both are being done.
They're using their money. They're using their money to fight the fish that are going to feed the orcas for now, while not fixing the long-term problems.
I'll tell you without mentioning names, though, like the Native Fish Society guys, they're at the legislature every day. They're in every meeting that has anything to do with fish. They're there. Guys from Trout Unlimited, they're there every day. I mean, it's.
Is that due to their funding? They just are budgeted to have that kind of presence.
That's absolutely
some of it's that. Yeah. Some of it, I know that when we started the Nestucca program, there was I think he was on a trust fund, but he was just a guy that owned a house on the river, and he was at every meeting, went to the legislature every day. They had him so conditioned that I went to a task force meeting, and he was a half hour late, and they waited for him to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that's what you're up against. But I mean, I'm telling you, this Hatchery Wild thing and the conversations like we're having is making a big difference.
Yeah,
it's
funny to see the sway that I've seen. Even near where I live, there's a very long-standing fly shop, and one of the gentlemen who owns that fly shop, I'm not going to get into names, is a huge driver of this wild fish stuff. Was part of some of the more recent lawsuits that we've seen. And has kind of preached and driven this stuff home for a long time. And I've sat in that place and had long conversations with the guy. And the bias and the opinion that he has is so hard to sit in the room with because it is so one-dimensional, directed at himself. It's so selfish. What he tells me is, if there wasn't any more hatcheries and there weren't any more gear fishermen, and then the river would be clean and there'd be plenty of fish for us and there'd be nothing to worry about. And go,
gear fisherman.
Yeah, I'm like, well, that's interesting, because
that's when I ask him, what's your point? Where does that happen?
Yeah,
because they removed,
and that's verbatim. That would fix fishing if there was just not so many people out there. It's like, so what are you trying to tell me here without saying it? It's. But now every guy in that shop that works for him goes, "Oh, I've loved hatchery fish the whole time. I don't know what to be. I just want to catch a fish too."
There's less people out there if he'd quit.
Yeah, it's just like it just blows my mind. So gaining more trust from anglers.
Jack, is there any rivers where they have removed hatchery fish and then wild fish have come back in abundance?
Not to my knowledge.
And I'm not talking
on the West Coast of the United States.
I'm talking like double, triple, like this leaps and bounds that were promised to us.
There's no place that they can point to. I've asked them point blank, and I told you earlier the only place they could say is the Oregon coastal coho, and there were so many other factors that there's no way they can with a straight face say that.
Well, like you said, they eliminated all harvest commercial and everything on that. But I asked that same question at a Region 5, Let's Meet the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife Director. I asked that same question. I said, can you give me 1 success? This is the narrative that we're going down. This is obviously this department's prerogative. Can you give me one success story where this has been tried and true and has happened? And program manager handed the mic back to the person running the thing and never said a word.
That
got a little bit of a response on the old Book of Faces. Because we were live feeding it.
Yeah, that was a fun meeting.
I was a stakeholder member on
Get off Facebook, loser.
I'm not.
He's not.
You're going to call me out on this again because I'm trying to get actual hatchery information stuff, so just stop.
But I was on the stakeholder group, and in our final meeting, they were talking about, they're removing fish from the kilches, hatchery fish, a bunch of places. And they were talking about monitoring, and I was at the sports show calling in on a phone line, and I started screaming, "Hey, wait, hold. And I asked that exact question. It's like, well, you guys act like hatchery farm just started last week. It's like you've been removing hatchery fish from places for as long as I've been alive. And is there one place where it's resulted in more fish? And the gal from the Wild Salmon Center, first of all, there was nobody said anything for quite a while.
Oh, yeah, crickets.
Then the gal from the Wild Salmon Center said, well, it actually isn't intended to increase wild fish. It's intended to preserve that robust gene pool for the future. What future?
So let's take that wild in-basin
preservation of zero and a hard
and put it in hatcheries and make it bigger.
Yeah.
That's where my money would go.
Well, that's so the gene bank that's implemented here. That's exactly what they said too, Jack. That question was asked, like, what's the plan? What's holding you accountable? Like, what happens if no fish return in stronger numbers? And they looked him right in the face and said, that's not what we care about.
Yeah,
we care to preserve the wild genes of these rivers.
You know what's funny about that too, Marlon? Because right now I'm gonna interject on that a little bit because they're doing genetic testing on what they're collecting and on one of the rivers that's sisters off that, and then another river next to it. And the problem is they're finding that all those winter steelhead, that a huge portion of them are checking out of the genetic test, like they don't have the right markers, and so they're just kicking them right back into the river, and it's a substantial number.
You want to know why that is? It's because steelhead stray.
What? No, stop that.
Wild steelhead stray.
What? I don't understand that. Explain that to me a little bit. Because if you're trying to preserve that natural, perfect pool, I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, even in the genetic study on the...
It's meant to not be. That's how fish...
Exactly.
If it was perfect, they'd be inbred. You know what I mean? It's like there has to be...
So even with that said, like, they're trying to preserve those pools. And I understand the need for that because we know in-basin genetics outperform as far as rate of returns out-of-basin genetics. We know that from, like, what they've done with segregated stocks of steelhead for the last 30, 40 years. I mean, as those kept getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so... I don't get it. I'd rather die trying.
A lot of their arguments are like that. I mean, they go to a dead end. You know what I mean?
It doesn't work. Well, why not? It just doesn't. All right, I'm sold.
No, to me, it's like, it doesn't work. Well, why not? Well, because we don't want to spend that $300,000 doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and like where they made the gene bank you're talking about, and the HSRG science is about that thick a book, and somewhere in there's a plan of what it's going to do, and it's like increase the wild run by a small amount. I mean, it's not like there's going to become this robust wild run.
Yeah,
and they know that.
it's insane.
Oh, it's sad.
It is, especially the older you get, the sadder it gets because you guys might live to see something. It's hard to think that the fishing's going to get nothing but worse. Although there's bright spots.
There's bright spots, and those bright spots are pretty much everywhere there's either complete and awesome habitat that hasn't been as destructed by man. They don't have the Portland municipality sitting right on top of it. Or they have robust brood stock.
It should be in the legislature. Any river in the Northwest that has a road along the entire system
that might be a bill.
completely enacted with hatchery fish. Anything that has a watershed that's intact and there's only a trail system, or because you think about it, how many of the systems that you fish, the only good ones that I know of that I fish, you can't get there unless you're with me or in a raft or try really hard or hike for miles, or there's all this habitat and there's all this sanctuary for fish that people cannot mess with. Where all these places where these hatchery fish have been removed, you know, some of your favorite rivers in Southwest Washington, you can drive 30 miles of the watershed 50 feet from the river. So you will never have habitat restoration. There will always be that hillbilly that's going to kill fish. There will always be those people that want to keep and kill.
I want to bounce back just a little bit to that NIMS report that I was talking about the East Fork. So we'll just talk about it here.
Again, guys, really quick before Cameron does that, we understand that we typically don't talk river names, but it's super important when we're talking about these issues that we're facing that we talk about the river systems that they're on, because hopefully we can save them. Hopefully we can save them someday. So it's important that we talk about them.
Concern with wild stock interbreeding with hatchery broodstock from the Elokamin, Chambers Creek, and Cowlitz River. These are some of the diversity bullet points that they had in the gene bank study. After 1980 Mount St. Helens eruption, straying Cowlitz River steelhead likely spawned with native Lewis stocks. An allele frequency analysis of East Fork Lewis winter steelhead in '96 was unable to determine the distinctiveness of stock compared to other lower Columbia River steelhead stocks. And that's in the NIMS report. So my question is, okay, you're unable to determine what the heck you got going on in there. Why gene bank it? I mean, I understand like gene bank it as far as like we can open hatchery fish in there, don't kill a bunch of fish in there. I get that part. But okay, so maybe is that an opening to say, okay, we might have a little bit more of a diverse stock in this river. Maybe that's where we start brood stock.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Just throwing it out there, throwing it against the wall, see if it.
I mean,
see if it's
what they say doesn't make any sense. It's and I can't. A long time ago, I read a study that I think it was on the Puget Sound River, somewhere up in that area, where they genetically tested all the fish in several streams, and if they were in the same basin, like Lower Columbia,
Yeah.
they were identical.
Yeah.
There was no difference.
I found there was another study too that they got rid of. So, like in Willapa Bay, they used to have a huge commercial on the fall fishery numbers there. I mean, I can't remember how many smolts, but I want to say it was something like 30 million smolts, and they did the same thing. They pulled a lot of that Chinook planting out of there, and the reason why, well, wild genetic Chinook, in some particular rivers in Willapa Bay, they got rid of them, and guess what? When they went back through, and this was in a WDFW report, and it contradicted itself literally 3 paragraphs later in the summary, because it said, basically, they got rid of all these fish because they wanted to keep native distinction there, with the genetics in the rivers, blah, blah, blah. But then when they ran those fish that, were going back again into the gravel, they ran those fish against what they were putting in the hatchery, they were genetically identical. And so what they do, they crashed a commercial fishery that was going into Willapa Bay. A lot of those Willapa Bay fish were interacting with some of the orcas up in Puget Sound, and we all lost for nothing.
Orcas from mid-Alaska down.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Orcas, because at the end of the day, like when you look at that graph where it says the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife hatchery production of Chinook smolts, and about 3 years after it starts taking a dive, that orca population, the correlation is astounding.
I feel like the orcas poked the hide, but it is not. I can't believe it came down to that to get this whole issue arised. It's sickening that it was something so. I'm not gonna downplay it by saying simple, but something so drastic as to a couple of whales dying for somebody to finally.
Look how long
the communities along the coasts and the small towns and stuff have been screaming for it. And so, like I said, with Hatchery and Wild campaign, Hatchery and Wild Coexist campaign, I think we hopefully one day will swing a legislative hammer to these guys and be able to pronounce
areas and what are these
jobs
communities supposed to do? There's no more mills. They've already shut down the logging with the same sort of tactics. They're all going to sell, sandals and seashells and at the kite parade. Like, what are these communities going to do around these areas?
Patagonia would love it if you did that.
Oh, they would love to sell you $120 pullover. Like, it's a cardigan, but thanks for asking. Yeah. It sucks because it's so necessary. These fish are so incredibly necessary in these areas.
When he says that they stopped the harvest of coho, I mean, when I was a kid, the whole Oregon coast, every single port that had access to the ocean to go catch a coho had a charter fleet. They had every restaurant, every motel was full all summer. It was like buoy 10 from like June until October. And I mean, just imagine the economic hit that was. That now that's mostly gone.
Now you just go to the cheese factory.
Yeah.
They make good cheese.
Back then, they used to stock 7 million coho along the Oregon coast. Now they stock 250,000 total.
That's so
next to one of the most robust oceans in the world.
I don't understand where this logic comes from. It
feels good.
Have you ever been to Portland?
Trying to stay out of there.
It feels good, man. I mean, like I said, under the guise of like, okay, maybe there's a problem here. And like I said, some of the studies that came out that were showing, like if you look at like those studies that on the Hatchery and Wild Coexist page, they actually post up which studies say that there's a negative effect of putting hatchery fish in with wild fish. Right? There's 7 studies to do. There's 4 that show that actually hatching hatchery fish is a positive, and there's 11 that show a no effect. And I hate to say this, but to us as sportsmen and to the orcas, that no effect is super important because that means we can feed the damn little bastards. And on top of that, the negative effect studies don't separate out broodstock and those same returning early segregated stockfish. And on top of that, the average release date of those studies is 2006, and the positive and the no effect, which, like I said, to sportsmen and orcas, that's just as important.
That's funny because
It's 2010 and 2012.
Yeah.
So the pendulum has swung one way. We all got into a tizzy. We started going, oh my God, this is the current sound science. Who uses that catchphrase? The current sound science. Well, guess what? The current sound science is saying, you're wrong.
Yeah.
If you guys could all see me dropping the mic right there.
With that being said, tap the subscribe button.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Seriously
it's
though,
disgusting.
comment, guys. Comment on this video. We really want to get your guys' feedback. We want to know how you feel about these issues, and we also want you to go to Hatchery and Wild, whatever the damn website is, the super long one. Go to that website and sign up on the email list.
Or go to Facebook, Hatchery Wild Coexist, and the web address one more time, www.hatchery-wild-coexist.com.
Perfect.
And I didn't screw it up that time. I screwed it up earlier. Yeah.
Perfect.
So to reiterate on this, I mentioned it in the live feed again, but the point we're all trying to make here, everybody, each one of us is passionate outdoorsmen, anglers, and conservationists, is not to put a bazillion salmon and steelhead in every single piss trickle that is in the Pacific Northwest. Some of these rivers stand a chance. Some of these rivers are fine with no hatcheries, and they are fine at the levels they're operating. But 96% of the rivers within 100 miles of a metropolitan area are dying off because of these regulations and because of the lack of science and the lack of effort from hatchery programs to better their hatchery fish and produce these broodstock salmon and steelhead. And that is needed. There's places where there should be millions, and there's places there should be none. So don't misconstrue our message that we think every spot in the world needs hatchery fish. Put them in Alaska.
Needs a
put them in
$500,000 Chambers Creek steelhead in every river. No.
But you know what? The ones that have a house every 100 yards, the ones that have a highway up the side of it, the ones that have culverts on every little stream that pours into it, or that has 4 dams on its estuary, or so on and so forth, or has been completely logged by Weyerhaeuser. Those are the rivers that we need to give our support to and make sure that we don't lose to these outside groups like Patagonia.
And use our hatchery system to actually help the wild fish and not create a segregated stock.
And the science, the gentleman right here next to us has pushed for 40 years that has been proven effective over and over and over again. So, there's my mic drop.
I'm not even going to try.
Your turn.
Mine's at the beginning.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Jack. Close this
I'm
out.
not even trying. I'll give you my mic.
Oh, perfect.
I think your point is well taken. But I think even on the rivers where we have hatchery fish, you need wild fish.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't think there's very many rivers that are pristine. But I think that's one of the things I like about the broodstock program is if you're going to do a broodstock program, you got to have wild fish. They're both real important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it puts the emphasis on both. It doesn't bring back the old days where you're down at the hatchery hole and every time somebody caught a wild, you heard a guy go, "Damn wild." That's I grew up hearing. Oh, you caught another damn wild. Nowadays we're all so cherished in the glowing after catching one. I think then we've changed that a lot with Addicted, where people appreciate those fish, and I think it's kind of the state of the fishery. Everybody's just so freaking. We should not be the badasses around here because we can go out and catch 3 steelhead every time. Like that. That's what it's turned into. It's turned into a mockery where the best of the best stay under. They catch 5 fish a day and they're considered the elite. And that's just the generation that we're in. That's the time we're at, and that can change. So.
Well, there was a time when
Perceptions.
no one said damn wild fish because they didn't clip the hatchery fish, so you didn't know what you caught.
Yeah.
And like in 1985, on the river, one of the rivers I fished, they did the first scale samples. And when they did the scale samples and analyzed them, 85% of the fish that people were catching were hatchery fish. Just think about that, 85%.
For those that don't know, when they don't clip, they can pull a scale and actually tell if a fish is a hatchery fish versus a wild fish from the scale, actually. So I just want to make sure people understood that.
Well, let it be said, everybody. We need your support. Go to hatchery-wild-coexist.com. Sign up, get the newsletter, be aware, and research. And educate yourself, and like we said earlier, share this with everybody. Pull what these outside groups are doing and use it against them. Share this with people that don't care, that don't give a damn about fishing. They don't even know what a steelhead looks like. But tell them the reality of the situation and the reality of what's happening to us and to our recreation in the Pacific Northwest. Because we're not to lose it.
If you're one of those people out there that oppose what we're talking about here, we would love to have you into a podcast. Come in, send us an email.
So
we would love to have you in. We will absolutely have a conversation with you. We want to hear your side. We want to know why you feel that way. So come in. Or if you're afraid to come in, comment, and we will not delete your comment. We'll have a good conversation with you. We would love to hear the opposite side and just see what your opinion is on it.
You want to hear something sad? I just asked the guy that question about a week ago. And he said the problem wasn't that fishing and fish numbers were too low, or it wasn't that they were too low. They need to get lower so that we'll all realize we need to do something about habitat. We need to suffer. That was his whole point. It's like hatchery fish are like a Band-Aid. They are masking the real problems, and so that means we don't care. That's why we don't care. That's actually the only guy's. I mean, at least that argument you can kind of wrap your head.
It goes right back to your statement in that movie. You can't sit here and think you have Disneyland.
Yeah, I think what I said was nope.
Yeah, all the smoke and mirrors, man. So,
all right, everyone. Well, we're gonna wrap this one up. I know it at times it kind of seemed like a little bit of an advertisement for Hatchery and Wild, but at the end of the day, we're super passionate about this, and we want you guys to jump on board and be passionate with us. So please head over there, do what you can, join in on this movement, and we're going to continue to keep talking about it with Addicted for a long time to come.
Yeah,
so.
And if you don't like it, then you might as well just unsubscribe to Addicted and just go away, because you're going to hear it.
I think
that's just paying tomorrow.
What you could really do is you could just go to Cameron Black's Facebook page and leave him a negative Facebook review.
Then Facebook will have to shut him down.
How do you like that? I mean, I'm telling people to unfollow Addicted.
This is getting mean, and I wish I wasn't in the middle of it.
I'm taking Addicted with me.
No, seriously, guys. Hopefully you guys learned a bunch. That was kind of the point of bringing Jack in, was so you guys could get educated a little bit more on this, and we can inform you on what's happening here, and you can get behind with us. So jump in on this with us, and let's hopefully change the future and change the narrative. So
thanks for joining us, Jack.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you on the river.
Laters.
Tap the subscribe button.